All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my thoughts on how I will book WrestleMania 40 for the calendar year of 2024. So I don't have a night one and night two of how I will book the cards. This is just all combined night one and night two of how I will respectfully book WrestleMania in the calendar year 2024 for WrestleMania 40. So starting off, I would obviously have Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and an undisputed WWE Universal Championship rematch from WrestleMania 39 and the main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania. This match will main event Night 2 just like it did at WrestleMania 39. Cody Rhodes winning the Men's Royal Rumble back-to-back years silences the critics that we could potentially see The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 instead of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. But the WWE has truly done a great job of building Cody Rhodes back after losing that main event match against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 on his quest to finish his story. It's actually a nice callback. If you guys remember when John Cena came up short against The Rock at WrestleMania back in 2012, it was a year of revenge for John Cena on his quest to potentially fight The Rock again at WrestleMania the following year, 2013, and it paid off for him, and he got his revenge and finally defeated The Rock. The same thing could be said for Cody Rhodes having a year-long quest on his quest back to being at the top of the mountain and beating Roman Reigns and actually finishing his story, becoming the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. I think what they could do in this match, you could have The Rock and Roman Reigns absolutely blow the roof off the house, give us a 5-star classic match if they can deliver it. And I would have The Rock actually cost Roman Reigns the title with Cody Rhodes finishing his story, setting up for a WrestleMania 41 Night 1 or Night 2 main event between The Rock and Roman Reigns for next year's WrestleMania. That's how we'll book the main event of WrestleMania 40 with Cody Rhodes winning the title and The Rock costing Roman Reigns, setting up a year in advance WrestleMania main event between the two Samoan family members. The next match, well, this was going to be my next match until the news broke today. It's sad because we are not going to get Seth Rollins versus CM Punk this year for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. This is sad. A week ago, we saw Seth Rollins announce that he tore his MCL and tore his meniscus, and he's fighting back hard as hell in rehab to get back to WrestleMania to make it for the event. But now CM Punk tore his triceps in the Men's Royal Rumble match, and obviously a torn tricep at least takes 4 to 6 months to heal. So obviously that knocks off CM Punk potentially wrestling at this year's WrestleMania. I just feel for CM Punk. The man waited 10 long years to get back to the WWE after leaving the company back in 2014 to finally get his moment in the spotlight and get what he truly deserves in his illustrious WWE Hall of Fame career. And that's just a headline and main event a WrestleMania. And unfortunately, he's going to have to wait maybe another year to do that. The big money match between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, I think they definitely should save that match for WrestleMania 41. Potentially have Seth Rollins win back the world title if he drops it later on in the year. Regain the title and have CM Punk win the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match to save that big marquee match for next year's WrestleMania. But with CM Punk injured with a torn triceps and Seth Rollins still battling back to get back to WrestleMania, I think he's going to be there. The WWE has a lot of backup plans for Seth Rollins. You could potentially have Seth Rollins versus Gunther now for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that's actually the match we really would have gotten if CM Punk never came back to the company in November. Or you could have, with Cody Rhodes winning the World Royal Rumble, you could potentially have Cody Rhodes traded to SmackDown because we all know he's going to target Roman Reigns. And you could have a mega trade and trade LA Knight to Monday Night Raw, setting LA Knight in position to become the World Heavyweight Champion in a marquee match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Or they could potentially get Drew McIntyre back in the mix, Sami Zayn's back. So they got a lot of fallback options. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the World Heavyweight title scene on the road to WrestleMania. Next match, I would have Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Both Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch are the biggest stars in the women's division today. You have Rhea Ripley, who's been hitting it out of the park as the unsung hero of the Judgment Day and the true leader of the Judgment Day. Then you have Becky Lynch, who is a fan favorite, the leader of the Becky Lynch is a fan favorite I think Rhea and Becky have proved that they can be trusted in the past in big-time moments. You look at Rhea Ripley, just had the biggest match of her career against Charlotte Flair at last year's WrestleMania with the women's world title, or with the SmackDown Women's World title on the line, and they had it out of the park. Then you have Becky Lynch, who has had countless after countless after countless big-time WWE moments. These two respective women would give us a 5-star classic at WrestleMania. I think that's where this should go. The chemistry would be there. The storytelling would be there. The false finishes during the match would be great. This would be a great match to have on the card of WrestleMania 40. Then staying put in the women's division, obviously you have the Women's Royal Rumble winner and Bayley taking on Io Sky for the Women's World title in the WrestleMania match. I think this would be a great storyline to have Damage Control turn on her and set up a great match between the former best friends and it's a teacher versus student match at WrestleMania for the Women's World title. Bayley brought Io onto the main roster back in 2022 when Damage Control was created. The original members of Damage Control was Bayley, Dakota Kai, who came back to the company in 2022, and Io Sky, who was called up from NXT to the main roster. So storytelling is there. The two can hit it outside of the park for WrestleMania 40. Then the next match, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania. If you asked me 6 to 7 years ago if both Jey or Jimmy Uso would have promising singles careers and have promising careers outside of being a tag team of the Usos, which is one of the greatest tag teams in all of wrestling history, WWE and all tag team wrestling across all promotions all time, I would have called you insane. But both brothers have gone on their separate ways and have hit it out of the park. You look at what the storytelling is there for this match at WrestleMania between Jimmy and Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso cost Jey Uso the undisputed title against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, and then rejoined the bloodline with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa after they kicked Jimmy Uso out, and his brother Jey Uso stood up for him. The storytelling is there, and I think the Royal Rumble, even though it was a small glimpse of what could potentially happen for WrestleMania, with the two respective brothers starting off the Royal Rumble, it got me intrigued to see a potential match between the two respective wrestlers at WrestleMania 40. I think that's the match that both wrestlers should have on the card. And then the next match I would have on the card would be Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. Rey Mysterio, for the second year in a row, and his WWE Hall of Fame career, has found a way to create a promising story with a luchador on the main roster. And this year is Santos Escobar. You look what he did, one of the greatest storylines that I have witnessed over the last 5 to 6 years on WWE, when he had a father versus son feud with Dominic and Rey Mysterio. The man Dominic Mysterio still gets hella heat to this day because of the feud he had with his father, Rey Mysterio. Now fast forward, you have another luchador and Santos Escobar that Rey Mysterio has brought to new heights and new levels in his WWE career. The story of the LWO and Santos Escobar turning on Rey Mysterio and costing him the United States Championship at Crown Jewel when he gave the brass knuckles to Logan Paul behind Rey Mysterio's back. Then you look at Santos Escobar, who abandoned the LWO and created his own luchador group. Storytelling is there for a big marquee match between Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Then this match, I think it's a long shot, but I think I honestly will book this. Having The Rock versus Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. Now, since The Rock is a part of TKO, he's a part of the WWE, he's a part of the company now in a big way. And he has a big role with TKO now in the crew. I do believe he will be a part of WrestleMania in some type of way this year. Whether it's in the ring, whether he's the host of WrestleMania, he's going to have some type of role in WrestleMania this year. But the role I would have for him is to have a quick 5-minute match with Solo Sikoa. This could be a 5-minute sprint between The Rock and Solo Sikoa. Give Solo Sikoa some even more exposure. And I think The Rock would do a great job putting over Solo Sikoa in the match. But The Rock would pick up the win in the 5-minute sprint. And I think this could be an appetizer of things to come between The Rock and the Bloodline, like I just touched up on, to have The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41 next year. So I would book that on the card. Next match, I would have Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. Now, you could tell a ultimate heel turn from AJ Styles is coming very, very soon in the next few weeks in WWE programming. Ever since AJ Styles has returned, it's like a new leaf, new guy. And this reminds me of his character that he had on the New Japan Pro Wrestling scene of the dark AJ Styles days. Now, AJ Styles now is having a similar character since he's returned back to WWE programming. But I think Randy Orton and AJ Styles are due to have a rematch at WrestleMania. Both have a great in-ring chemistry together, as we've seen in countless matches between the two respective wrestlers. They both have great mic skills. The promo battles would be great. And they need to make up for the WrestleMania 35 match that they had. That match just didn't sit well to me, and I think it wasn't even at the top of the respective matches that Randy Orton and AJ Styles have had between each other. That WrestleMania 35 match, I don't know if they just didn't have enough time together to put on a better match, but it just didn't sit well to me. I thought that was a decent match that you could see on a WWE or a smaller pay-per-view, not being a big four pay-per-view of like a WrestleMania or SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, etc. But I think this would be a good idea for the two respective guys to run it back at WrestleMania once again. Now, the next match. Back to the women's division. I would book Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill as soon as possible and build that storyline up for a marquee match at WrestleMania 40. That is a big money match. The face-to-face interaction that the two women had in the Women's Royal Rumble tells me that this match would be a absolute banger. And I think this would be a great way to put Jade Cargill at the top of the women's division in the WWE for her moving on for years to come. Now, I understand that the original plan for Bianca Belair would have been a match with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, but Charlotte Flair, unfortunately, won't make the event this year after tearing her ACL. So I think a good backup plan for Bianca Belair would be a match against Jade Cargill. With Jade Cargill training over the last few months in the WWE Performance Center and WWE building her up like a star, they treated her like a huge star when she made her Royal Rumble debut and her WWE debut into the company. I think that with the training and the gaining more experience on a weekly basis on WWE programming, I think she would have the confidence to get in the ring with Bianca Belair in a big marquee match at WrestleMania 40. Both women are very athletic and could give us a great match, and I think Bianca could really give Jade Cargill a great rub in the women's division, and potentially Jade Cargill could get the biggest win of her wrestling career, defeating Bianca Belair in the grandest stage of them all. Triple H, sign us up for that match, because that would be a big marquee match to add to the card. Next match, I would have a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Showcase. Now, last year at WrestleMania 39, they had the big tag team showcase. You had the new WrestleMania 39. It was a great showcase tag team match. But this year, I would have the New Day versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate versus Imperium versus the Street Profits. They did a great job with the tag team showcase. These four tag teams would do a great job in a tag team showcase this year. Next match, I would have Logan Paul versus LA Knight for the United States Championship. Logan Paul has obviously showed us he could be trusted in big-time matches and showed the company why he could be trusted in big-time matches. You look at what he's already done in the company. He's already had a stellar match with Roman Reigns, one of the greatest to ever do it. He's had a stellar match with Seth freaking Rollins. He did that last year at WrestleMania. Seth Rollins is another all-time great. He just had a stellar performance against Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble and held his ground against Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel. So the man can be trusted in big-time spots. But a big match with LA Knight would be great for the WrestleMania card. The build-up would be fun with the Megastar versus the Ultimate Heel. LA Knight is a megastar in the company. Timing is the reason why LA Knight has yet to become a world champion. When you have your top-tier guys holding the titles of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and him not winning the Money in the Bank contract, timing has been an issue for LA Knight. But the next big thing for him, and he's on his quest to becoming a world champion, would for him to win the United States Championship and see what he could do with that title. And I think he should overthrow Logan Paul to become the United States Champion at WrestleMania 40 to give him his first big-time moment in the company. Then next match, I would have Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. The storyline is there. Drew McIntyre blaming everyone for not being a world champion after he won the world title back in the pandemic days, has yet to get back to the top of the mountain in the company. Then you have Sami Zayn, who is taking time off in the WWE, who's taken off or written off by Drew McIntyre. I think that feud would be great for a WrestleMania match. Then the Intercontinental Championship match. Gunther was originally supposed to take on Brock Lesnar for the Intercontinental Championship, but now, with everything going on with Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar being in the mix of sexual allegations, I do not know if Brock Lesnar will be back. He wasn't at the Royal Rumble, and I'm not sure if WWE is going to, and TKO is going to put Brock Lesnar on the road to WrestleMania. So, with that being said, even though that match would have been fun, I do believe that we should all expect Brock Lesnar not to be back until this situation gets cleared up. But with the backup plan, I would have Gunther defend his Intercontinental Championship against Chad Gable. And the history is there between him and Chad Gable. All three of their first three matches were great. And Chad Gable losing his last Intercontinental Championship match against Gunther in front of his family. That is a great storyline for Chad Gable to finish his own story. Or you could have an Intercontinental Championship with Gunther and Braun Breaker, the newest addition to the main roster for the Intercontinental Championship. Two cornerstones of what WWE has to offer for the sake of the future with Gunther and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title. And then the last match I would book, it would be the Judgment Day versus Awesome Truth versus the Creed Brothers versus DIY in a fatal four-way tag team match for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. Judgment Day and R-Truth's story has been great. Awesome Truth has been great. The reunion of Awesome Truth of The Miz and R-Truth. The Creed Brothers will be one of the best tag teams for the sake of the future in the company. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa can finally have a WrestleMania match that they've deserved in their respective wrestling careers. So, with everything going on, I think it's going to be an eventful WrestleMania, but there's a lot of question marks still. But this is how I would truly book WrestleMania for how things are going in the WWE today.